Welcome to the World Vegan Travel Podcast. I'm thrilled to have you joining me today.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, I'm really pleased to have you on to be talking about a little corner of Spain, La Garrotxa, which is I had never heard of until we started talking about this. And it just seems like a really lovely place. And it just so happens that you have a very special thing in the vegan travel space that I'm sure vegans would love to hear about.
Yes, we have a rural guest house in La Garrotxa, and inside the nature park of the volcanic area. We offer a vegan accommodation together with a project which is a foundation. It's called the Empathy Foundation. And we have two animal shelters, one of rescued animals and one of biodiversity. So the whole thing is a project. We restored these old houses. They are called macias in our region. These are old farmhouses. This one, Mas Campassol, dates back from the 12th century. And we've restored it with 9 suites. We're surrounded by forests of Atlantic and Mediterranean flora. We have
Wow.
garden areas, we have a swimming pool, we have a children's area, terraces and viewing points. Our project started like 10 years ago, but we recently opened only in June last year. So we've been working a lot to get to this point.
Yes, I don't think many people really fully understand what it
Yes.
takes to have some sort of accommodation, whether it's a hotel or a bed and breakfast or a villa. So yes, these things always take such a long time. First of all, because I didn't know where La Garrotxa is, this little area in Spain. Could you just orient us a little bit? Tell us where you are.
Yes, actually, we're in the Pyrenees. We have the Pyrenees 1 hour to the north. We have France 1 hour to the north also. We travel east 1 hour. We have the Mediterranean Sea. And if we travel 1 hour to the south, we have Barcelona. So we're in a center of interesting spots.
And I guess that means it's quite easy to get to as well, being so close to big cities. That's
Yes.
so cool.
We're actually in the natural park, but we're not far from medieval villages. It's very comfortable to travel because you have the nature, but also the services.
Could you explain to us what is a natural park? Because I think, especially North American people, they get a little bit confused. Does it mean a national park? Does it mean that there's a lot of wilderness?
Yes, you would say one step below the
Oh.
national park. It is a protected area where you, for example, it depends on the management of the park, how they run it. Some are more into conserve the park. You have to work for biodiversity, but some are more restrictive than others. Here, for example, you can hunt in a national park. We got out of the hunting, which was not easy. It's to get out in order to preserve the biodiversity. And the nature park has good parts, which is nobody can build here. Everything is very controlled. But if you want to restore a house, you have to get the permission for everything from the park. So it's not easy.
Right. Yeah.
It's a difficult task.
Yes, I know a little bit about natural parks. Sometimes different natural parks, I think it's maybe different in different countries also, but different natural parks will have different goals. Like sometimes it will be to conserve
Exactly.
a way of life, and others might be to conserve certain species, or maybe architecture or a way of farming or something like that. So what's the purpose?
In our case, this is the area, the most volcanic activity in the whole Iberian Peninsula. So all of Spain and Portugal, everything together, this is the spot where historically has been more volcanic activity. So this has influenced, obviously, the flora and fauna of this whole region. So they made a park to preserve it. these are the tasks of conservation, but they focus a lot on the volcanic history.
So you mentioned the flora and the fauna is unique in this national park. Does it also mean that the
Yes.
scenery, the geology, the landscapes are unique also?
Yes, of course. Actually, due to this thermal inversion, we have Mediterranean flora and Atlantic flora. In our
Oh,
land here, we have the ground, we have Atlantic flora, and which is more humid. If you go up the hill, there is the Mediterranean flora, which is much drier. But so it is amazing because, well, not to the point of your Indian summer in Canada. For us, it's already very beautiful to see the combination of the evergreen and the red and yellow in the fall. What is the most important is that you have a big variety. So it's also a big variety of food for the animals. So that's why you have more wildlife than maybe other spots which are more specific on wildlife.
yeah. I would love to ask you about the activities that you have going on at Mas Campassol. But before we talk about that, I'd love to know what was happening in your life or in the life of the people that you work with that brought you to this point to create this space which is like a haven for wildlife and nature.
Yes, it's difficult to say where it starts because obviously the childhood is important. I think the moment where everything started was when I met my beautiful woman, which became my wife. And we both come from different history. Well, we've made different things in our lives, but we had one common thing, which was the love for animals. We actually wanted to make a documentary about animal assisted therapy. And on a Rotary event, we met because we got introduced. My wife was this girl was making animal assisted therapy, and so that's how we met. And animals have always been our joint something we have in common. And we soon realized that what we wanted to do is exactly this, to help animals. And from this idea of the shelter, everything else started because here we have to live, to run a shelter without some other economical incomes is very difficult. I've always traveled. I've loved traveling my whole life. As a child, my parents took me everywhere. So with 13 years here, I was in the Guinness Book of Records because I was the most traveled child. And traveling has been something very, very important in my life. All you've done makes suddenly sense, and combining and together with another person who feels the same.
Right.
So this is the result of a lot of love, I would say.
Thank you. Yes, I'm just on your website on the other screen, and you have this absolutely beautiful drone footage,
Yes.
which just gives you a really good sense of what the land that you have is like. And for listeners, if you can't go onto the website right now, you can just imagine just a beautiful deciduous forest,
Yes.
lots of woodland. So, how much land is there altogether on this property? And did you
Yes.
already have that land or did you buy it? How does that work, particularly within the confines of the
Um,
natural
m-
park?
m- Most of the forest in Catalonia privately owned. There is a small percentage which is public. In our case, this 43 land belonged to the ruin. It was actually a ruin. And this is where we restored ancient routes. So we offer them for our customers, for our clients to hike. And it's a marvelous entrance also to hiking and with dogs. Many of our guests come with dogs, and this is a perfect place to enjoy with your furry friends.
Yes, I can imagine that dogs would absolutely love running around those beautiful woodlands for sure. That's so cool. And you mentioned shelters,
Hmm.
but I think more like a sanctuary for farmed animals, but also for
Yes, of
wild
course.
animals.
We got out of the hunting area. Anybody to come with rifles on your ground, you have to get out of this area, which is not easy.
Mm.
But we managed to.
You
Mhm.
mentioned that it's hard to get out of the hunting area. Could you talk a little bit about what's involved? It just seems so strange to me that it's difficult to decide to not to have people coming on your land, I presume, without permission and hunting. That feels very strange. What did you have to do? And did you get a backlash from people's
The reason
decision?
why they hunt in this area is because of wild boars. Of course, they interfere with the crops. For us, of course,
Right.
this is not the solution, and that's why we wanted to get out of this hunting area. It's a little bit complicated, so we asked an agency to help us. Of course,
Mm.
we were stubborn and we talked it out. They understood our point of view, and that was it. So in 5 years, we've had no problem, and we're happy, very happy with our decision, of course.
You also mentioned on your website that you have some rewilding initiatives.
It's happening now. It's the project. We are together with Selvans, an association that takes care for old forests. So this is their project, and they are our neighbors. We live very
Mm.
close. We have the hope, of course, also that there are some communities of wolves in the north coming from Italy over France, and they've seen some already north of Catalonia. So we hope that we can make some activities that try to restore the natural coexistence, and so also hunting will be no excuse.
Yes, I'm shocked
Hmm.
that the wolves have managed to move by themselves from Italy into
Hmm.
northern Spain. That is
Yeah,
something
yeah,
really to celebrate, especially with
yeah,
Europe
yeah.
being so built up and so many fences and so many roads. I want to learn more about that. That's incredible. But also, on the other hand, I think to myself, oh my goodness, that's great that wolves would come, but will the people who raise animals then be upset about wolves? Let's celebrate the fact that there are wolves in northern Spain. This is very exciting.
There have to be a couple to protect them. And until now, they've only seen lonely wolves. So this is not
Ah.
yet something we can celebrate. Yes, it's good.
Yeah. Let's talk about Mas Campassol from a traveler's perspective. You mentioned that you have 9 suites. It's obviously in a
Hmm.
rural area. Can you describe what the suites are like and what the accommodation experience is when travelers come and stay at Mas Campassol?
We define ourselves as a rural guest house. All the 9 suites have, of course, everything needed. We have made some small bathrooms needed to have views over nature and fresh air. It's a big accommodation. We offer breakfast and dinners. We have a pool, a big area for children, the trails, viewing points, and all the activities we also offer.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'm on your website and the rooms, they're just lovely, so charming with these beautiful stone walls, very comfortable
Yes.
looking beds. Simple but very charming, which I
Hmm.
think fits well with the age of the building and the architecture style of the
Yeah.
building. You guys have done a great
Yeah.
job. Can
Thank
you
you. Thank
tell
you.
us a little bit about the food? I was surprised when I saw that you do offer an evening meal as well. How does that normally
Hmm.
look?
Dinner à la carte.
Ah,
Yes, we ask our guests if they want to stay at night. We haven't been open for even a year. We open in June, so this is how when we're learning. We ask them what they would like to have for dinner to be prepared, because only my wife, me, and one helper in the evening cuisine. We don't want to make very complicated, elaborate cuisine. Most of our customers, we aim to give them tools and ideas on how to reduce animal consumption. Many times they don't even know that there are alternatives. We combine them with the homemade food. We make a combination. So our idea is we know we won't veganize the world, but we at least want to try to reduce. And this is when people leave and say, "No, I will do some change in our diet." This is for me. This is a huge charm. I feel very happy. It's one more part of our project to bring nature closer to the people is through the food and the alternatives of the consumption to animals, of course.
Fabulous. Yeah, I love that. I find it very interesting that most of your clients are not actually vegan. So that's a great opportunity for some advocacy for sure.
Yes.
I think most listeners will be sold on, on coming to Mas Campassol if they really wanted to find a place that was in nature, that was owned by vegans, so the money will be going to support vegans and the projects that they're interested in.
Yeah,
what are the other reasons why people would come to this part of the world? Because honestly, the accommodation is just one part of the reason that makes me want to go to a particular place, usually. What are the other reasons why people should choose to come to this area and make Mas Campassol their little home during that time?
Of course, this is a non-profit project. So we have jobs and we work outside and we do this because it's what we love. It's very crazy, especially in high season. But this place here, the whole province is like great secrets. You must imagine an area that goes from the Mediterranean Sea with beaches and cliffs and famous for the small beaches and hidden areas to the 100-meter Pyrenees where you can ski. So in the middle, there is the Pre-Pyrenees, and this is where we are. And there are many things to see. Most of the people come here to see the volcanoes and to see the Falleda and Jordà, for example, which is a forest, a beach forest, because it's the former lava influences the flora we have. So it is something special. And of course, the volcano is marvelous to visit. It's the place in the Iberian Peninsula. What I like most is the gorgs, they call them here, the falls and ponds that nature created. You feel like being in some exotic place like Costa Rica. In the summer, it's very nice because the water is cold. It's a great place to hide from the heat. The heat. Also, the medieval villages are something very attractive because there are lots of them, and all of them are different one from the other. So medieval village hopping is also a really nice activity.
I love it. I've never heard it described as that, but medieval village hopping, yes, that's definitely a lot of fun. And I'm guessing in each one there'll be a beautiful church or some sort of castle, maybe some cute little restaurants or res or something like that. Yeah, I love doing that when I'm in Europe. It's so fun. Fantastic. So the countryside's amazing. You've got the volcanoes, which is a big reason why this is such a unique part of the Iberian Peninsula. You've got some beautiful, cute little villages as well. Are there any other interesting attractions?
Well, there are, of course, we are next to the Via Verde. If you like cycling, it's an ancient railroad that connected Olot, which is the capital of where we are, with the Costa Brava, which is over 100 kilometers. So you can cycle along these 100 kilometers, which was an ancient railroad. So it's very plain. It's very easy it's not going up and down. It's plain. And it's easy also for families with children. And you can see all the landscapes and travel on a bike, which is a marvelous experience.
That is fantastic. I love going on those old train tracks and being able to enjoy the countryside by bike, because usually there's no roads there as well, and you just feel like you can enjoy being in nature, but not in a way that's difficult.
This one is 100 kilometers.
How long is that route? Do you know?
Yeah.
Long. 100 kilometers long?
It goes from the Olot So
Wow,
50
that is
kilometers to
fun.
Girona, the capital, and then 50 more kilometers to the sea, to the Mediterranean Sea.
Oh my goodness. That sounds so cool. And how
3 kilometers.
far is Mas
3
Campassol
kilometers.
from that
Yeah.
greenway, from that cycle path? Oh wow. So
Yeah.
people could
Yeah.
drop off and
Exactly.
stay at your place on that journey. Oh wow, I love it. I love it. Anything else you would like to share about other things that people can enjoy?
Some people have come, which is another attraction, balloon ride. This is
Oh,
something very, very beautiful because you can see the volcanoes from the sky and you can see all the craters. It's beautiful to see the balloons from here, from Campassol. You can see up to 5 or 6 balloons sometimes in high season, which is also, of course, during the autumn time and the Indian summer.
so a question I have is what is the best time to come to this part of the world? It may be thinking about the weather, but also thinking about the price, and also maybe thinking about special events or festivals that people might want to go
Mhm.
to or might want to avoid.
I would suggest to come from September to November is a good time. June is also very nice. In September, you can avoid the massification because July and August I wouldn't recommend because it's just too crowded and it's not as enjoyable to walk in the nature or to visit the gorge if they're filled with people. But September is very, very nice. October also. And November, although it starts to be cold to swim in the gorge, it is very attractive because of the Indian summer. So these 3 months and June, I would say that I would recommend for anybody to come.
You mentioned the Indian summer a few times. I'm guessing this is like a little unique sort of climate at a certain time of year.
Yes.
Can you talk to it a little bit and explain what it is?
Yes, it's when the leaves of the trees turn yellow and red, and in combination with the trees that are evergreen, that's the beauty of the landscape. It's something that is nice to see.
Oh, okay. All right. Mark, I want to thank you so much for being on the World Vegan Travel podcast to talk a little bit about this beautiful area of Spain that really is something quite different to what most people would think when they think about Spain. And also this wonderful project you have that you're working on. I don't know how you do it by working as well as doing this. That's incredible. I'm sure a lot of people would like to be able to learn more, look inside, look at those beautiful, charming rooms that you have, and learn more about your beautiful accommodation. How might people do that? And if they were to book, what is the best way for people to book a room?
The best way to book is to visit our homepage, which is www.mascampassol with double S .com, and there you can find all the information regarding the project, the animal shelters, the biodiversity project, and you can also find information about accommodation, prices, and everything.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Mark, for being on the Well Vegan Travel podcast. I can't wait to come and check out Mas Campassol for myself. It looks really idyllic and a real place to connect with nature. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Brady. I would be very, very happy to welcome you here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.